Hey guys, this is our video review for Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. We saw it early.
We did.
Yeah, like 4 days early.
Yeah.
We've never seen a movie this early.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. Shout out to DC All Access and IMAX and Warner Brothers. Okay, so the basic premise for the film is that after the Battle of Metropolis, when Superman fought Zod in Man of Steel, there's a lot of fallout from that politically and just the world's view of Superman. And one of the people that is criticizing him the most is Batman. And he sees him as a threat, as a lot of people do. And he has certain reasons I'm not going to go into as to why specifically he wants to take out Superman. Mm-hmm. You'll see that in the actual movie, but
it's a very personal conflict for Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm. That they do a really good job of establishing that.
Yeah.
It's not you buy into what he's doing, especially he's an older Bruce Wayne, so he's angrier. He's gone through a lot more. He's had a lot of loss in his career as Batman and in his personal life. Right. So
as much as this is a Batman versus Superman movie, it's also a Bruce Wayne versus. It's not Bruce Wayne versus Clark Kent, but Bruce Wayne is definitely a part of this movie. Yeah. It's not just Batman.
Yeah, definitely. Bruce. Okay, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But so that's the basic premise, and then on top of that you have Lois Lane, who's Clark Kent's girlfriend, mm-hmm. And they work together at the Daily Planet. She's investigating some things that are suspicious, and another key player in this is the villain Lex Luthor, who he's behind the scenes as well as in the public eye, and I don't want to say anything. I don't want to give anything away, but he definitely has his hands in a lot of different places.
The great things about this movie that I really like were Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. I mean, he steals the show along with Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Absolutely, I agree.
Those two characters 100% steal the movie for me.
It's funny too because those actors both caught a lot of flack when they were first cast. Mm-hmm. And since footage has started coming out of Ben Affleck in the role, a lot of people have warmed up to him, and a lot of people are going into the movie with pretty high expectations for him.
He owns the role.
Yeah, but Jesse Eisenberg has been hated pretty much this whole time.
Since day one, yeah.
And I think a lot of people are going into theaters a little skeptical, but I can fully say he delivers.
It's a very strange performance in a good way.
It's almost hypnotizing.
Henry Cavill does a good job as Superman. This is not the Man of Steel 2. This is Batman vs Superman. Batman has just as big a role as Superman does. I liked Henry in this role a lot more than in the first one because there is more going on and it gives him more to do. His acting comes out in it.
You were skeptical of him going into this one, so
I was happily surprised with it.
That's good.
He did a good job.
Okay, so kind of like he was alluding to earlier, Bruce Wayne has a lot of great moments in this movie.
Yeah,
it's not just Batman. Batman's awesome, obviously, but Bruce Wayne, he's almost like James Bond. Yeah, in some respects, which obviously he's a genius and he's very stealthy in going about things that he's trying to accomplish, but he has some really great moments. I'm not going to say anything, but
just under the performances of Affleck and Eisenberg was Jeremy Irons. I was expecting nothing from him. That casting didn't do anything for me, but he was very, very, very good in the Alfred role. Mm-hmm. Different than Michael Caine's character, but just as good in my opinion. I put him on the same level.
They're both very.
Yeah, very
Jeremy
good.
Irons obviously is a world-class actor, so
and very funny.
Certain characters had the comedic moments.
Yeah.
For example, Perry White, who runs the Daily Planet, he had some funny moments interacting with Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and then you had Lex Luthor brought some comedy with his darker humor. Now,
as good as this movie was, it was really, really good. There were a few negatives for me that I had, had me scratching my head a little bit without giving anything away. There were very small things. There was nothing major with the storyline or with the character development. It was just little things in the movie that I would change if I could without giving anything away. I can't say what they are, obviously, but it was just a few things early in the movie that I didn't really like, and we had talked about it, and we'll talk about in our spoiler review. You know what I'm talking about. Was there anything major for you?
I think I know a couple things that we talked about earlier, but for me, as a comic book fan who's grown up with DC Comics and the characters, this was an absolute like treat. Like this was really like
there's a lot of callbacks to other films, other comics,
other stories, and just the characters were done justice. I think Superman, especially coming off of Man of Steel, where some people weren't totally sold on him, like you said. Bruce Wayne, Batman's the best we've ever seen. Lois Lane is doing a lot of great stuff with her, journalistic investigating. And then Alfred, Lex Luthor. So as a DC Comics fan and a comic fan in general, there's a lot to like. But if you're not totally integrated into that world and you don't know all of the characters and all the mythology,
you're not going to recognize it.
You might be a little more confused, or it might just go over your head and you won't appreciate it as much. But as someone that is really into it, I enjoyed pretty much all the characters and the story that it was telling.
Yeah.
Now, as far as negatives for me, kind of coming off what I just said, the negatives don't have anything to do with the story or the characters, really. It's more the filmmaking itself. Now, overall, I thought the film was pretty well made. The main problems that I have with it are the actual filmmaking aspects. The movie itself is 2.5 hours long. And I know that there's an extended edition that's going to come out on Blu-ray eventually, and that's going to be 3 hours long. Now, I can tell that there is more of the story to be told, just because the editing, there are moments where it would transition from one scene to the other, and I was like, I feel like we're missing like a scene. Like I feel like there's a little, nothing that really threw off the whole story, obviously. Otherwise it wouldn't have made it to the theatrical release, but it was just points where I wish they could have developed another character a little bit more, or if they could have explained another motivation. But overall, I thought that it didn't, although I wish it had been longer, and maybe could have added more to the story and the characters, it didn't bother me too much. I thought the pacing was a little off in some parts, but I think that combined with the editing could probably be remedied in the extended edition. But for a theatrical release, it could have been better, but nothing that took away from the overall film as much as it could have, I think.
So I give it an 8 out of 10. Johnny gives it a 9 out of 10. We'll have our spoiler discussion review up soon. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back soon.